So, just did a video on gender roles. It was superficial, maybe 3 or 4 minutes, just on the necessity of expanding beyond being noticed or being a pick me in a system that needs to go. Being noticed in a system that needs to go. So after posting that video, this one came to mind, and it's been something that I've wanted to talk about for a very long time, but I was silenced. I was silenced because of my own traumas that I dealt with. I'm dealing with. I'm healing. I'm resolving, and expanding out of. So the race, the conversation of race, I've always felt like I didn't fit, and I've always felt like I didn't fit. And I was very young, maybe around 8 years old, I grew up in Jamaica, and the concept of race, the way it is right now, even in Jamaica, wasn't there when I was growing up. It was being lighter. It was about class and money. Being lighter was associated with class, and money. And I came across a lot of different looking people. I remember as a child seeing Chinese, Indian, even a few white kids smattered here or there. But in my childlike essence, it was put into, I guess, the way I understood that my parents spoke. And it took coming to the United States for that conversation. I remember too, when I was when after just moving here, kids were calling me white because of the way that I spoke and expressed myself. And I was like, okay, if being black means not being me, then you can call me whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. And then growing up, I went through this thing where the system pushed on me so much that I went into the research and the history of being black and identifying with it and defining it. And then in graduate school, in law school, I took feminism on the law. I took social justice on the law. I did I think it was an international relations on the law, African Americans on the law, and a property course because African Americans were property. Diasporic black people were property. And interestingly enough, that is when it became really clear and I had the words for it. I was not at the table when anybody decided to call people black, African, the Negro, Negroid, all of these different things. And I don't agree with it. I don't agree that I fit into any of those categories. And it was so much, it was such a thing that at the time I had different dreads, longer than this, and I cut them totally off. I was tired of the outside world pushing on me. I was tired of being told who I was because of you perceiving me according to your things, and I didn't want any of it. So imagine being in that mind space in the early 2000s, in the 90s, in the mid 2000s. I used to get into a lot of arguments. And law school was where I started to realize, these conversations and discussions don't move very much. They don't move very much. They still fit in the space of the system that keeps the same energy and keeps us in the same space where, like the phrase, it's academic. You know, it is something that you're talking about, you're doing things, and it doesn't move anything. It's like the conversation and the discussion is the smallest part of what is needed to dismantle parts of the system. So the conversation of race and even being white, I remember dating someone from Spain, and in our 30s, it took him a long time to kind of resolve how to identify himself. Leaving Spain for him in his late teens, let's say early 20s, he didn't identify as white. He didn't identify as Hispanic. Depending on where he was in the United States, depending on the identity that he was. So all of this is made up. And all of it is made up to categorize us by people who were corralling us, who were oppressing us, who were slaughtering us, who were using our bodies in ways of the Epstein files as labor, as farm animals. And that wasn't limited to only dark-skinned people. The same thing were happening. They called it different names and assigned different things, all of it to separate us. And we've been living into these separations as if they are ourselves, our souls, our ancestors. That's not who we are. That is not who we are. So I heard two content creators arguing, two quote-unquote black men arguing, one of African descent and one of American heritage. And the argument was the one of American heritage uses rage bait to get attention, and the one of African descent, in his get back at the other guy, said that his ancestors were raped by the colonizers, that it destroyed his ancestral lineage so much so that today he's like an idiot. Within that get back is still the separation. And this I experienced myself growing up in the US with a lot of friends from different African countries. You are a product of slavery and we're not. All of these things, all of these different distinctions that we try to do to identify and to differ ourselves are unimportant. They're stupid. They are self-flagellation tools, because all of them comes out of the identities that were created by the oppressors.